Good morning, everybody. Nice Sunday morning here in Ontario. I want to have a good video talk. I got up this morning and messages, tags, looking at a lot of comments from new groups of people coming on board. We have to have this talk. It's especially important for Ontario and the people of Ontario, as well as a lot of narratives coming out from the UK, what Canadians need to know in general. And it's time to have this tough talk about foreign influence and the United Kingdom. We're going to get into a little bit of France too. And I've separated the two in the title. I put USA and Russia versus UK and France, and what Canadians need to know as we go through these really tough times here and people start questioning narratives. Again, I see people are coming on, and it's pretty early. I know out west it's super early, and it's Sunday, so I don't expect a lot of viewers, but when these things come up, we have to go through it. So, UK, like a lot of members of the P5, I talk about the P5 all the time. They're not the Five Eyes, even though of the Five Eyes, there's two members. And here's the real issue here. P5 is USA, Russia, China, France, and UK. They're in charge of all international law. At the end of the day, they all jointly and unanimously, all five of those, decide what laws in this world are bound to every nation of this world. Everybody talking about Westminster, anything to do with League of Nations is long gone, unless those portions were taken and absolutely enshrined and bound by the P5. And yes, UK and France are there, but UK and France are subject to the other three. So you can look, and there are lots. There are a number of organizations. I want to be very clear. A lot of people talking about law, they'll get into the common law, which is UK, or they'll get into maritime law, which is from the UK, and it is from the time of the League of Nations. Some of these things are illegal today, and some are not. And people have to understand that. Some portions of common law, especially coming from Rome, law common to all, is absolutely bound in lots of international law, and some isn't. There's many nations that go absolutely with the civil law. Right here in Canada, Quebec goes with the civil law. They don't go with the common law. They go with the civil law. A lot of people are making a huge deal about common law. They get into all kinds of UK narratives way in our past, which is what this video is about. What is super important here, because the Five Eyes nations, USA, UK, New Zealand, Australia, and Canada. Here's the problem. Now, it's cool that USA's in that. Yes, they're always making allied treaties with countries, but we have to analyze four of those nations: Canada, New Zealand, Australia, and United Kingdom. Big problem here, folks. Most of the program laid out before us, most of the foreign influence in Canada absolutely comes from the United Kingdom. 75% of all the BS absolutely comes from the United Kingdom, including, I've chased all this stuff. People can take it as they want. As a P5 member, UK gets away with it. They absolutely love having those three countries, Australia, New Zealand, and Canada, on their fingernails, having them absolutely usurped. We see it in our immigration policies. We see it in government. We see it right now today in the biggest highlight Canada's ever seen, the most awoke people have ever become. We see it clearly as Canadians are blaming it on we're moving towards communism. We're not moving towards communism. We are experiencing a highlight of colonial embedded crown power that not only exists for Canada, it exists for Australia, New Zealand, and is absolutely what powers the United Kingdom. Since all of United Kingdom's history, going from what everybody loves to talk about, the Magna Carta in 1200, an age-old constitution of the United Kingdom, never been a part of Canada, in very few limited provisions of that very old United Kingdom constitution during the Age of Empires under King rule, which has always been the United Kingdom. They're now a constitutional monarchy, but it started in that Magna Carta when lords and barons said, hey, look, we want some kind of rules of governance. We want some rules on how you're going to treat the people. And to this day, and Canada, wake up here, and all of you watching, especially Ontario, I love you all, but there are some serious differences out here east, at least in what is Upper Canada, for all the people, and it's truly terrifying for a lifetime Westerner, and it's something we got to get out and break down this barrier that United Kingdom and that Age of Empires, fighting for your rights, fighting for enshrined rights. That is a systematic problem in history with the United Kingdom and its system of government. I hate to make this video because I don't really want to address United Kingdom. I don't want to take them on. I don't want to take on other countries like New Zealand, Australia. I know the problems of Australia and New Zealand are absolutely Canada's problems too, and it all originates from the United Kingdom, who still to this day has massive influence. Just read our Constitution. They have massive influence, even though, why I put Russian USA, they promised Russian USA they would end all colonialism, and King George VI did. These Five Eyes countries stole that power upon his death. They stole his crown. They took the constitutional embedments of colonial crown power and kept it. Our Governor General, our Lieutenant Governors, I go through this all the time, but people have to understand, this is not anything but broken systems from the United Kingdom. There was an age, it was the League of Nations, where absolutely Great Britain, which is what the United Kingdom is today, ruled the world, all the way up to the defining moment of World War II, and that was the end of it. Superiority gone, everything replaced, and of that time period, it was Russia and USA who emerged victorious as the Allies. Two countries, USA absolutely defeated colonialism on their own turf, and when we get into racism, slavery, you can't blame the country of the United States. I mean, they carried it for a long time. They've addressed it now. If there's one thing that the United States does better than any nation in the world, is absolutely constitutionally deal with its great wrongs and make them right. I'm not saying it's perfect, but of the entire world, they get the job done. They always do, especially for being a country bombarded with so much colonialism, and being able, we the people, to fight back, break that system, and emerge victorious as their own nation. They have tremendous amount of sins all around the world, yes, but you know what? Not nearly as many as most of the nations preceding them through many ages, doing much, much worse. The world was a terrifically worse place than it ever was post-1946 with the UN Charter and what the USA and Russia established. Yes, UK and France came along for the ride. China was right there with us too until communism overtook, and then they were absolutely cemented in 1971. USA voted them forward. The Five Eyes, which is all colonials, and it's a UK-USA deal where they have 3 colonials there, and it's not addressed. USA absolutely has to address this. Russia absolutely has to address this. This is the problem, Canada. This is what we need to do. This is the work I'm doing with the UNSC. There's historical precedent for this. USA and Russia went all over the world, imposed constitutions everywhere. The term communism, no. That is a plant by the United Kingdom to ignore colonial crown power. Never address the issue, blame it on some other problem. We are not going communist. We've always been colonials trapped with embedded crown power post-1952. We've never been fixed. Like 85 other nations in this world have all gone through it. Just look at India. They were a colonial. Look what's happened with Hong Kong back to China. Everything's getting squared up. What's not squared up is Canada. Neither's Australia and New Zealand. I don't want to get into the Five Eyes. I don't want to step into a sovereignty that's not mine to possess. I don't have any citizenship there. I have really no business talking about them except into relation to foreign influence by the United Kingdom and the relation of those two nations as colonials, just like Canada. Although Canada does have some serious differences, France being one of them, Quebec being the other. People put too much stock into narratives that are absolutely from the United Kingdom that take away from your sovereignty. We should not have to fight for our charter rights and freedoms. The reason we have to fight for those charter rights and freedoms is because we still possess colonial embedded power in our Constitution that gives your politicians absolute authority over all of your charter rights and freedoms through courts, as well as your civil rights that no Canadian really understands whatsoever, because you're in a constitutional monarchy, not communism. Your charter rights and your civil rights, which most Canadians don't even know what I'm talking about, are provincial. And there's no constitutions in any province. No premier in the history of Canada or in any territory has ever thought it's a good idea to enshrine your rights. The problem with Canada is we don't have we the people. Our Constitution is not we the people. It's of the United Kingdom. That is clearly and definitively stated legally in our preamble of our Constitution. Never has there ever been a mention of we the people. You will find we the people all over the world. You'll find it everywhere. Russia's got it. The whole Federation. They even have regional constitutions cementing the powers of the regional governments. Just like United States, it's the same thing, as well as every state has one too. Canada doesn't have any of this. We run on colonial embedded constitutional monarchy power. We give extraordinary rules of governance to all of the politicians. That's what we do. You can go into other forms of government, one-party systems, all this stuff. But at the end of the day, who has authority over your civil and charter rights, your human rights? Your government does, and only a few individuals, very few individuals. Your courts have no authority above what the government says they have. At any point in time, the government wishes to step forward, they can take away the court's power to rule in your favor. People talk about common law. What is common law? Common law is a system of setting precedent law. Yes, it comes from the United Kingdom and of Rome. There's also the aspect of common law we have in corporation where what does the average person think? How a judge is supposed to look at your case in the context of the average person. What would the average person decide? That's also a jury system. That's common law. Precedent law, meaning cases pile up and judges have to rule by the preceding case law. And lawyers argue that using precedent law. That's common law. Other than that, I'm not sure where people are getting their narratives or old United Kingdom stuff thrown at you, or through League of Nations, or like I said, that crown. That's foreign influence. Knocking the UN, saying we're not going to be in the UN, or we want absolutely change all the laws to a system that's not legal in the world today. You're not going to be able to do it. Where does it come from? Where does all this mis and disinformation come from? In a very, very large part by the United Kingdom. Absolutely. Stay away from Five Eyes. The idea of fighting for enshrined God-given rights. Listen to yourselves, people. Look at the history of the UK. Look at the stories of Robin Hood. Look at the story of the USA, real life story of the formation of USA, Independence Day. I urge all Canadians, especially Upper Canada. I will get into Lower Canada, the Quebec. I will get there. There's going to be a big delay because of the COVID narrative. It's going to hold me back. But when that opens up, I'm absolutely going through Quebec. I could register CCP right now. But the problem with me doing that and having a founding membership is that it's going to be, oh, look, he didn't really go through the Atlantic provinces. Oh, look, he didn't go through Quebec, left out. And then where does the party in the long run go from there? And if you don't think that that crown paid media tied to our constitutional monarchy isn't going to fry me, of course they will, and they'll fry the party. First Nations coming on board really strong. I've had such beautiful talks with a lot of people. Mohawks are giving me a narrative I've never known before. I've never been out east. I don't know that peoples, but it's just been terrific. I've had an incredible 48 hours worth of knowledge from First Nations out east here, and I'm enjoying it, every bit of it. It's exciting. And you know what? Great people saying, build the foundations of the party strong. And that's what I'm going to do. And we're going to make sure this goes forward in transparent, real truth for all of you. And that's what videos like this are about. Why they're so important to share. Because there's a lot of truth here. And it's all backed up. It's all written. You'll find it somewhere. It's out there in the Google. I wrote a paper, The Nature of International Law as It Really Is. I know most people will not read anything more than a minute's worth of reading. It's a long read, even though in Oxford and the rest of them, it's actually a very small paper. And I made it very plain speak as best as I could, just for all of you. But the history's there. The real data's there. And yes, just as we went through UNSC here on Friday, and I spent 6 hours with them, USA and Russia both admitted publicly and live that yes, they mess around with the world. Yes, they go for their goals. Yes, they're going to always put their countries first, and they use their power that way. They admitted it. You can't hold them to account. You can't hold the P5 to account. They are the international judges, juries, and executioners. That includes UK too. They mess around with countries. UK's got their hooks. So does France for Canada. They got their hooks in a portion too. And it's up to us, the people, to deal with that and bring forward change and educate people and tell them the truth. The truth of why things are the way they are. UK has played this game with people's rights just because of the nature of their institution for as old as time itself with the UK. We can clearly go back to Magna Carta. Have people's rights ever been truly protected in the UK? No. And they won't be in any of the colonial countries that adopted that. The idea that you should fight for enshrined rights is wrong, wrong, wrong. You notice how Americans in the United States, for sure, just looking across our continent here, do you notice how they talk about it in the past tense? We had to do this. We had to do that. We had to, right, to get our institution. It's all in past tense. Hundreds of years ago. These aren't issues of today. They still have, monumental changes in civil rights. There's enough in the Constitution to allow change, and amendments can be brought forward. As hard as they are, they can and have been done. And America makes changes and grows. But they've kept the power of the people there. It's there. It's absolutely enshrined in the states. And you know what? Federally it is too, even with their problems, and they have some, but they're the best example in the world today. And Canada could learn a lot. Not that we have to follow suit with them. There are rights that USA is missing. It's such an old institution that changes in the world don't reflect in the Constitution, and they may never. I mean, there may become a time when the U.S. has to challenge itself on these issues, and we'll see it escalate to the point where it will lead to change. But it's an old institution. It's missing a lot of updates of the world, federally anyway. I noticed the states are able to rectify that, but not the federal institution, a little tougher. But Canada can learn not only from the United States, we can learn from Russia and many, many other countries. We are really tied into the colonialism. It's not communism, it's colonial crown power embedded in our Constitution, the constitutional monarchy called Canada. Never mind all the mis and disinformation coming from the UK. Scrap all your thoughts of League of Nations and any narratives preceding that, or old constitutions that have never been a part of Canada. Just because you have an imposed constitution in your country means nothing. The UN says it's this. Russia, USA, France, UK, and China all said that's okay. USA and Russia have imposed 85 constitutions in the world. In the world, imposed. Look at Japan. You can go on and on through the Asia world. Africa goes on and on and on, and they're not bad constitutions necessarily. It was done to give the power to the people. We've never had the power to the people in Canada. Never. Neither is the UK, and none of the Five Eyes outside of USA. That's the truth. You take it as you want, but until you address constitutionalism, institutionalize we the people, that's number one, and supremacy of God, meaning not a defined God, the idea that no man or woman is above any other, which includes your politicians. These are fundamental, massive things of constitutionalism that create great institutions. They don't exist in Canada. The Charter goes into supremacy of God, but what good is it if the Constitution of Canada gives the power absolutely to a foreign sovereign as well as the politicians of Canada? What good is any of that? Just like Magna Carta from 1200, what good is it if it's the politicians who administer it with zero accountability, zero rules of governance, zero we the people? Wake up, Canadians. This is a video. It's real, it's viable, it's verifiable, and it's 100% truth, whether people like that or not. I know the Crown is popular. I know that the United Kingdom and all the narratives are popular, but it's called foreign influence by a superpower in this world that is able to do this with zero accountability. It's up to you, the people, to change that, to make it so you'll never have to fight for any of your rights. And that goes across all these divisions, left and right. Your rights and freedoms are all there, all of you. Respect each other, respect people's rights to choose different rights that they want to have for themselves. Let your neighbor have a red house. You can have a blue one. The other guy's got an orange one. This one builds it 3 stories, this one just wants a bungalow, one level split maybe. That's called individualism. That's called having enshrined rights and real freedom. Not being bullied by a government institution that gives you all these rights, but says, you know what, you need to trust me to administer it. Why would that be a great institution? It hasn't proved to be very good at all. It's led to some of the biggest atrocities in world's history. Very recent atrocities. It absolutely led to World War II. And it was the reason we had World War I. This is all in credible research, verifiable. It's real history of this world as it really is, not how different governments narrate it, not how different governments implement institutions of education, ignoring great atrocities while condemning others, or leading people to believe that somehow there's some foreign narrative that isn't happening when it's really that corrupt institution. Look at it, people, and think about that. Why do you have to fight for your enshrined charter rights and freedoms, or your civil rights? Why? They should be enshrined, should they not? They're in the Constitution. That's the answers. This is what you have to get out. I know it's a long video. I know a lot of my followers go, Dave, why do you rehash this stuff? Because so many new people come forward. And I know the narrative out east isn't at the same level as it is out west. And we have to unite all Canadians. And that means taking a step back and realizing so many need to see the real other side of it. And realize that things are not what they seem. And narratives that you're getting are provided by those foreign influences that absolutely want to keep you in the dark, going in the wrong direction, falling on your face, so that they continue to keep their power over you. That's reality. Thanks, that's my video. Happy Sunday, share it out. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.